Chosen one, there is something sacred about the moments nobody applauds, something powerful about the hours when no one sees the tears you wiped away, the prayers you whispered under your breath, or the choices you made when walking away would have been easier. What you did in secret mattered more than you know. While the world was distracted, while people underestimated you, while some even counted you out, heaven was paying attention, not because you were loud, not because you were perfect, but because you were faithful when it would have been understandable to quit. You showed integrity when compromise was convenient. You chose obedience when rebellion felt justified. And that is why your name echoed in places you could not hear. You need to understand this clearly. God is not impressed by performance. He is moved by posture. He is not stunned by talent, titles, or public success. He is stirred by humility, by consistency, by the quiet courage it takes to do what is right when no one is rewarding you for it. When you stayed kind in a season that hardened others, when you kept believing after disappointment stacked up, when you refused to become bitter even though you had every reason to, something shifted. Heaven noticed that you did not let the darkness rewrite who you were. That choice alone separated you. There were nights you could have numbed the pain but chose to sit with it and grow. Days you could have spoken back, defended yourself, exposed people who hurt you, but instead you stayed silent and trusted that truth would speak louder in time. That silence was not weakness. It was strength under control. That restraint carried more power than words ever could. You were being shaped, refined, prepared, even though it felt like nothing was happening, but something was happening. Something deep, something irreversible. You didn't stay pure because it was easy. You stayed pure because you feared losing your alignment more than losing people. You didn't keep praying because answers came quickly. You kept praying because quitting would have meant letting go of who you truly are. You didn't keep showing up because you were celebrated. You showed up because your spirit knew there was more on the other side of endurance. That kind of faith is rare. That kind of discipline is dangerous to the enemy. That kind of consistency changes futures. When no one was watching, you chose growth over comfort. You chose character over shortcuts. You chose to heal instead of bleeding on others. You chose to forgive even when apologies never came. Those choices were recorded. Not in human systems, not in likes or recognition, but in spiritual realms where rewards are eternal and timing is precise. You were sowing seeds in soil you could not see, trusting a harvest you could not yet touch. There were moments you questioned yourself, moments you wondered if it was worth it, if staying honest, faithful, and patient was costing you too much. You saw others advance faster by cutting corners. You watched people get rewarded for things you refused to do, and still you stayed your course. That alone reveals the depth of who you are. That alone explains why what is coming will not be fragile. It will be built on substance, not hype. God was not stunned because you were flawless. He was stunned because you were faithful while wounded, because you kept loving while misunderstood, because you didn't let disappointment turn into resentment, because you guarded your heart in a season where it would have been easier to shut it down completely. You stayed soft in a hard world. You stayed hopeful in a dry place. That is not common. That is chosen behavior. You must know this. Delays were not denials. Silence was not absence. Obscurity was not punishment. It was protection. It was training. It was preparation for a level of influence that would have crushed you if it came too early. What you carried inside needed roots before it could bear weight. And roots grow in dark places, quiet places, hidden places. That is where you were planted, not forgotten. There is a difference between being unseen and being unobserved. You were unseen by people, but you were fully observed by God. Every tear counted, every resisted temptation mattered. Every time you chose prayer over panic, discipline over distraction, truth over convenience, it mattered. Those moments stacked up. They built something in you that cannot be taken away, something no one can replicate or counterfeit. You may not feel different yet, but you are not the same person who entered that season. Your discernment is sharper. Your spirit is steadier. Your tolerance for nonsense is lower. Your hunger for purpose is stronger. You don't chase validation the way you used to. You don't beg for spaces that don't honor you. You have learned to walk away without explaining yourself. That is growth. That is maturity. That is evidence of divine work. People will soon see the fruit, but they will not understand the cost. They will call it sudden. They will call it luck. They will call it favor. But they didn't see the lonely obedience, the internal battles, the private sacrifices. They didn't see you choosing to trust God when trusting yourself would have felt safer. They didn't see you resisting the urge to become someone you were not just to survive. You survived by becoming more of who you were always meant to be. And here is what you need to prepare for. When doors begin to open, when recognition comes, when opportunities align, it will test you in a new way. Success tests character just as much as hardship. Visibility tests humility. Influence tests integrity. But you are not unprepared. You have already proven who you are when nothing was at stake publicly. That is why you can be trusted with more now. That is why what is coming will not destroy you. There will be moments ahead when you will remember these hidden seasons and realize they were the foundation. You will understand why certain relationships fell apart, why some prayers seemed unanswered, why you had to walk alone for a while. It was all aligning you with a future that requires strength, wisdom, and clarity. You could not have carried this future with your old mindset. You could not have sustained this calling without that refining fire. You're stepping into a chapter where your voice will matter, where your presence will shift rooms, where your testimony will unlock hope in others. Not because you are loud, but because you are real. Not because you are perfect, but because you are anchored. People will feel safe around you. They will sense depth in you. They will trust you without knowing why. That trust was earned in the unseen. Do not rush this moment. Do not doubt what you survived. Do not minimize what you endured. You are not behind. You are right on time. Everything that tried to break you only revealed what could not be broken. Everything that tried to stop you only redirected you into alignment. And even now, as you stand on the edge of what feels like change, you may not fully see it yet, but momentum is building. Something is unfolding quietly. Connections are shifting. Circumstances are rearranging. What once felt stagnant is beginning to move. What felt delayed is aligning. What felt lost is being restored in unexpected ways, and the same God who watched you remain faithful in the shadows is now preparing to trust you in the light, not to elevate your ego, but to amplify your impact, to place you where your presence becomes an answer to prayers you did not even know you were part of. So stay grounded, stay humble, stay listening, stay ready, because the next phase will require the same obedience, the same discernment, the same heart posture that carried you through the hidden season. Do not abandon the practices that kept you strong when no one noticed. Do not forget the lessons learned in silence. They will guide you when noise increases. You are not here by accident. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are positioned. And even now, as you breathe, as you reflect, as you wonder what comes next, heaven is still watching the details, still weighing the heart, still responding to the quiet faith that continues to move you forward, even when the full picture has not yet been revealed, even when the path ahead still feels unfinished, even as you take another step not knowing exactly how the next door will open, but trusting that it will, trusting that the same presence that sustained you in the unseen is now walking you toward a moment that will require you to stand, to speak, to move, to choose again with the same courage you showed when no one was watching at all, and you decided once more that you would not turn back even as the weight of what is coming begins to press against your spirit. And you sense that the next decision you make, the next step you take, the next quiet yes you whisper is connected to something far greater than you can currently see, because what is unfolding now is not an ending, but the continuation of a process that is still shaping you, still stretching you, still calling you forward into a place where your faith will be tested at a higher level, and your obedience will need to remain just as pure as it was when everything was hidden and the only witness was God and your own heart. And you are standing right there now feeling that familiar tension again as you prepare to move without full confirmation, but with deep knowing that the next moment requires you to trust even more than before as you lean into what is beginning to unfold. Because that tension you feel is not confusion, it is invitation. It is the same pressure you felt before every major shift in your life, the same inner stirring that appeared right before you were forced to grow, to release, to step forward without guarantees. You recognize it now, even if you cannot fully explain it. Your spirit knows when something is being activated. Your heart knows when a season is ending, even if your mind is still catching up. That restlessness is not anxiety. It is movement forming beneath the surface. You are being asked to trust what you have become, not who you used to be. You are being invited to respond from maturity, not fear, from clarity, not urgency, from alignment, not pressure. There was a time when uncertainty would have paralyzed you, when waiting without answers would have weakened your resolve. But look at you now. You can sit in the unknown without unraveling. You can move forward without needing applause. You can obey without explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand your assignment. That is growth you did not rush. That is wisdom you earned through endurance. And it is exactly why the next steps will feel heavier, not because you are weak, but because what you are carrying now has weight. Purpose has weight, responsibility has weight, influence has weight, and you were never meant to carry it with shallow roots. You needed depth, you needed stillness, you needed that season where no one clapped, so you would never confuse validation with value. There were layers stripped away from you when no one was watching. Old identities, old coping mechanisms, old patterns of seeking approval. You learned how to sit with yourself. You learned how to hear God without noise. You learned how to stand firm without backup. Those lessons are not optional in the next phase. They are essential. B, because where you are going, distractions will be louder, opinions will be stronger, and expectations will be higher, but so will your capacity to remain centered. You will notice something shifting in how you respond to people. Things that once triggered you no longer do. Conversations that used to drain you now simply pass through. You are less reactive, more observant, less defensive, more discerning. You are not cold. You are clear. You are not distant. You are deliberate. That clarity came from pain you processed instead of projecting, from silence you respected instead of filling, from restraint you practiced even when it burned. And do not be surprised when people begin to sense something different about you. They may not have the language for it. They may say you have changed. They may say you are quieter, stronger, more focused. Some will be drawn to it. Others will be unsettled by it. That is normal. Not everyone is comfortable around someone who has made peace with themselves. Not everyone knows how to interact with someone who no longer needs to be chosen because they already know who they are. You will also begin to recognize doors that no longer require force. Opportunities that come with ease. Conversations that open pathways without manipulation. That is alignment replacing striving. That is grace meeting preparation. That is the result of obedience in obscurity. You are not chasing momentum. Momentum is finding you, and it is happening not because you demanded it, but because you became ready to steward it. Still, stay alert. Not everything that opens is meant to be entered. Discernment will matter more than excitement. Timing will matter more than speed. Ed, you will be tempted to move quickly, to capitalize on what feels long overdue. But remember what built you. Remember how patience shaped your character. You do not need to rush now. What is for you will not disappear if you move wisely. There is a quiet authority settling on you, not dominance, not arrogance. Authority that comes from self-awareness, from knowing your limits and honoring them, from understanding when to speak and when to stay silent. You are not trying to prove anything anymore. You are not competing for attention. You are simply standing in truth, and truth has weight all on its own. You may look back at who you were during your lowest moments and barely recognize that version of yourself. The desperation, the overthinking, the constant self-doubt, the need to explain, to justify, to hold on. You have outgrown that space. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. You learned how to trust yourself again. You learned how to hear guidance without panic. You learned how to let go without fear of loss defining you. And even now, there are still things being removed, still attachments loosening, still perspectives shifting. Growth does not stop just because you survive the hardest part. It deepens, it refines, it continues. You are being taught how to carry peace into new environments, how to remain grounded when things accelerate, how to stay true when temptation disguises itself as opportunity. You are also being prepared to be misunderstood again, but in a different way. Before, you were misunderstood because you were hidden. Soon you may be misunderstood because you will not conform to expectations placed on you. People may try to define you by their comfort level. They may try to pull you into roles that do not align with your calling. This is where discernment becomes protection. You do not owe everyone access. You do not owe everyone explanation. You owe yourself integrity. And remember this, the same God who watched you choose faith in the dark is still watching how you choose now. Consistency matters, not perfection. Consistency. Staying aligned when it would be easier to drift. Staying honest when exaggeration could benefit you. Staying humble when recognition increases. These are the moments that determine sustainability, not just success. You will be trusted with influence because you were faithful without it. You will be entrusted with responsibility because you honored responsibility when it felt unseen. You will be given voice because you learned how to listen. You will be given visibility because you did not need it to remain obedient. That is the order, that is the pattern, and you are living proof of it. There will be moments ahead when the weight feels familiar, when the pressure reminds of old seasons, and you may wonder if you are being tested again. In those moments, remember, this is not punishment, this is expansion. Muscles ache when they grow. Faith stretches when it is asked to carry more. But you are not being asked to carry what you cannot handle. You are being asked to step into what you were shaped for. You are allowed to pause, you are allowed to breathe, you are allowed to acknowledge how far you have come without losing hunger for where you are going. Gratitude does not cancel ambition. Rest does not cancel purpose. Stillness does not cancel movement. You can honor the journey and still anticipate the future. You are not late. You are not early. You are precise. Every delay refined you. Every disappointment redirected you. Every quiet season prepared you. And even now, as new doors begin to appear and new questions arise, the foundation remains steady because it was built in secret, strengthened in solitude, anchored in obedience. So as you continue forward, pay attention to the subtle confirmations, the peace that settles when you make the right choice, the resistance that rises when something is misaligned. Your intuition has been sharpened through experience. Trust it. Trust what you sense. Trust what feels grounded rather than rushed. You are not guessing anymore. You are discerning. And there will be moments of joy that catch you off guard. Moments when you realize you are no longer surviving, but actually living. Laughing without guilt. Resting without fear. Dreaming without immediately bracing for disappointment. Those moments are not accidents. They are signs of healing. Evidence that you allowed the process to do its work. Still, stay teachable. Stay open. Stay connected. Strength does not mean isolation. Independence does not mean avoidance. You are allowed to receive support now without feeling weak. You are allowed to share space without losing yourself. Balance is part of maturity, and you are learning it in real time. There are people you have not met yet who will benefit from the version of you that endured. There are conversations you will have that will unlock hope in others simply because you stayed. Because you did not give up when no one was watching. Because you chose faith when doubt felt logical. Your story is still being written not just for you, but for those who will recognize themselves in it. And as you move into what feels like unfamiliar territory, remember that unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It means new ground. It means growth. It means expansion beyond what once contained you. You have outgrown certain spaces, certain mindsets, certain limitations. And while growth always carries discomfort, it also carries freedom. So keep walking, keep listening, keep choosing integrity over impulse. Keep honoring the quiet disciplines that built you. Keep trusting the process even when clarity comes in layers rather than all at once. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not unsure. You are becoming aware. And the same presence that guided you through silence is still guiding you now as the path continues to unfold step by step, moment by moment, decision by decision, shaping not only what you will do next, but who you will continue to become as the journey moves forward without stopping, without concluding, without closing. Because what is happening now is still in motion, and you are still walking into it with the same faith that once carried you through the unseen and is now carrying you onward into whatever waits just beyond this moment as you remain steady, attentive, and willing to move again. With that same willingness rising again inside you, because even now you are sensing that the journey is asking something deeper, something more intentional than before. This is not about proving strength anymore. This is about stewarding it. There was a time when survival itself was the victory, getting through the day, holding yourself together, not collapsing. Under the weight of uncertainty, that was enough. But now the invitation is different. Now the question is not can you endure, but can you lead yourself well when the path opens wider? You are stepping into a phase where decisions carry greater consequence. Not because everything is fragile, but because everything is connected. One choice influences many outcomes. One word shifts atmospheres. One boundary protects entire seasons. You are becoming more aware of this, and that awareness is both empowering and sobering. You feel it when you pause longer before responding, when you think more deeply before committing, when you sense that some options are no longer neutral. That is not pressure meant to paralyze you. That is discernment awakening. You are learning that clarity often comes after movement, not before it. That faith is not the absence of questions, but the courage to move without needing every answer up front. You have practiced this before in quieter ways. Now it shows up on a larger scale. You are not reckless. You are responsive. You are not impulsive. You are attentive. You have learned the difference. There will be moments when your past tries to speak louder than your present. Old fears resurfacing. Old narratives whispering doubt. But those voices no longer have authority. They may still appear, but they do not control you. You recognize them now for what they are: echoes, not instructions. Reminders of where you have been, not indicators of where you are going. And the truth is, you have already crossed points of no return. There are things you cannot unlearn, strengths you cannot unbuild, boundaries you cannot erase. Even if you wanted to go back to who you were, you couldn't. Growth has permanently altered your vision. You see too clearly now. You feel too deeply. You know too much about your own resilience to doubt it completely again. This is why certain environments feel uncomfortable now. Certain conversations feel shallow. Certain patterns feel exhausting. You are not judging them. You are simply no longer nourished by them. Your appetite has changed. Your standards have evolved. You are craving substance, meaning, alignment. And that craving is guiding you, whether you consciously acknowledge it or not. You are also beginning to understand that not every battle is yours to fight. Wisdom has taught you when to engage and when to withdraw, when to speak and when to let silence do the work. You no longer feel the need to correct every misunderstanding or defend every truth. You trust that what is meant to stand will stand without constant explanation. That confidence did not come from success. It came from survival paired with reflection. You have learned how to sit with discomfort without rushing to fix it, how to hold questions without forcing conclusions, how to trust the process without romanticizing the pain. That balance is rare. Many either harden themselves or lose themselves. You did neither. You allowed yourself to feel, to question, to wrestle, and still remain anchored. That anchoring is what allows you to move forward now without being tossed around by every change. There is also a growing sense of responsibility you feel toward your inner life. You protect your peace more intentionally. You monitor what you consume, what you entertain, what you allow to influence you, not because you are afraid of the world, but because you respect your capacity. You know how much energy it takes to stay aligned. You are no longer careless with it, and this is why rest matters more now. Not escape, but restoration. Not avoidance, but recalibration. You are learning that rest is not something you earn after exhaustion. It is something you practice to prevent it. You are honoring rhythms instead of pushing through limits. That is not weakness. That is wisdom born from experience. You may notice that your prayers sound different now. Less desperate, more grounded. Less asking to be saved from circumstances, more asking for clarity within them. Less bargaining, more listening. You trust that guidance will come as you move, not just while you wait. That shift alone speaks volumes about how much you have matured. There are also new desires emerging in you. Not loud, not frantic, but steady. A longing to build something meaningful, to leave something better than you found it, to be a safe place for others without losing yourself in the process. These desires are not random. They are responses to what you survived. Pain refined your vision. Endurance clarified your values. You are no longer impressed by appearances. You look for consistency. You look for depth. You look for truth beneath words. You have learned how easy it is to perform and how rare it is to be real. And because of that, you are becoming someone who carries authenticity into every room, even without trying. Still, there will be moments when loneliness returns, not because you are abandoned, but because you are transitioning. Growth often creates gaps before new connections form. You may feel temporarily out of sync with people you once felt close to. That does not mean you failed them or they failed you. It means seasons are shifting, and transitions require patience. You are also learning that strength does not mean self-sufficiency. You are allowed to need support without feeling weak. You are allowed to receive without guilt. Independence once protected you. Now interdependence will sustain you. Knowing when to open and when to guard is part of your evolving discernment. As your life expands, so will your need for honesty with yourself. You cannot afford self-deception anymore. Not in small things, not in motives, not in intentions. You are becoming too influential for unchecked patterns. And the good news is, you already know how to self-correct. You have practiced reflection. You have practiced accountability. You are not afraid of truth, even when it challenges you. You will notice that your confidence feels quieter now, less performative, more stable. You do not announce your growth. You live it. You do not demand recognition. You let impact speak. That kind of confidence does not need reinforcement. It is rooted, not reactive. And as you continue, you may sense moments of grief for what you outgrew, for the innocence you lost, for the simplicity you can't return to. Allow that grief. It honors the journey. It does not mean you regret growth. It means you recognize its cost. And recognizing cost makes you a better steward of what you gain. You're also being taught patience on a new level. Not passive waiting, but active alignment. Preparing while trusting, moving while listening, building while remaining flexible. This kind of patience requires strength. And you have it now in ways you did not before. Your presence alone is becoming stabilizing to others. They may not know why they feel calmer around you, why conversations feel safer, why hope feels possible in your presence. That is not accidental. That is the overflow of inner work done in silence. You carry peace because you fought for it internally long before anyone benefited from it externally. And as you walk forward, you will keep encountering moments that ask you to choose again, not once, but repeatedly, to stay aligned, to stay honest, to stay grounded. These choices will not always be dramatic. Often they will be subtle, quiet, ordinary. And that is where your strength will continue to show. Because the same God who watched you in the unseen is still attentive now, still observing not just what you do, but how you do it, still responding to the posture of your heart, and you are still responding too, moment by moment, adjusting, listening, growing, moving without needing a final answer yet, without needing the story to resolve, because this is not a moment of conclusion, but continuation. A living process unfolding as you keep walking forward into the next decision, the next opportunity, the next test of trust, carrying with you everything you learned in the shadows as you move steadily onward without stopping, without closing the chapter, without wrapping it up, simply continuing to step into what is forming ahead with that steady awareness guiding you now. Because something inside you understands that this stretch of the journey is not about dramatic leaps, but about sustained alignment. It is about waking up each day and choosing to remain centered even when circumstance, CES, fluctuate. You are learning that power is not always loud and transformation is not always obvious in the moment. Often it looks like consistency, like showing up with the same integrity on an ordinary day as you would on a breakthrough one. You are beginning to recognize how much strength lives in restraint, in not reacting immediately, in letting emotions settle before decisions are made, in allowing wisdom to rise above impulse. There was a time when urgency drove your choices, when fear of missing out or fear of loss pressured you into quick responses. That urgency has softened, not because you stopped caring, but because you learned that what is truly meant for you does not require panic to secure it. This is why your pace feels different now, slower to some, more deliberate to others. But to you, it feels right, it feels grounded. You are no longer racing against imaginary timelines or competing with other people's paths. You are honoring your own rhythm, and that rhythm was shaped through seasons where patience was not optional but necessary. You may notice that your intuition speaks more clearly now, often in quiet impressions rather than loud emotions. You sense when something aligns and when it doesn't. You feel when a conversation is worth pursuing and when silence is the wiser response. That sensitivity is not weakness, it is discernment sharpened through experience. You earned it by listening when it would have been easier to distract yourself. There are still uncertainties ahead, questions without immediate answers, possibilities that have not fully formed yet. But uncertainty no longer terrifies you. It no longer sends you spiraling. You have learned, Ed, how to walk forward even when the path is revealed one step at a time. You trust that clarity will meet you as you move, not before. You also understand now that growth often brings a deeper awareness of responsibility, not just for outcomes, but for intentions. You check your motives more carefully. You ask yourself why you want what you want. You are less interested in appearing successful and more invested in being aligned. That shift alone protects you from many detours. There are moments when you feel the weight of expectations, both external and internal. People may look to you for guidance, stability, answers. You may feel the pressure to be strong all the time. Remember that strength includes honesty. It includes knowing when to rest, when to ask for support, when to acknowledge that you are still learning too. You do not have to carry everything alone to be considered capable. You are also becoming more comfortable with the idea that not everyone will come with you into the next phase. Some connections will naturally fade, others will remain but change form. This is not loss as punishment, it is transition as alignment. You are allowed to honor what was without forcing it to continue beyond its season. You are learning how to bless what leaves without chasing it, how to release without resentment, how to appreciate what a season gave you without clinging to what it cannot give anymore. That emotional maturity is rare, and it came from facing disappointment head on rather than avoiding it. As your inner world stabilizes, your outer world begins to reflect it in subtle ways. Opportunities that match your values, conversations that feel purposeful, spaces where you can be yourself without performing. These shifts may seem small, but they are significant. They indicate that you are no longer settling for misalignment just to feel included. You may still have moments where doubt surfaces unexpectedly, a sudden question, a flash of insecurity. That does not mean you are regressing, it means you are human. Growth does not eliminate doubt completely. It teaches you how to respond to it differently. You no longer let it take the wheel, you acknowledge it, learn from it, and keep moving. There is a deeper compassion growing in you as well, not just for others, but for yourself. You are less harsh with your own process, less judgmental of your past decisions. You understand now that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. That grace toward yourself allows you to extend grace to others without losing discernment. You are becoming someone who can hold complexity without needing simple answers. You understand that people can be both hurtful and hurting, that situations can be both challenging and formative, that progress can coexist with discomfort. This ability to hold nuance is a sign of wisdom, not confusion, and still the call forward remains. quiet but persistent. An inner nudge that does not rush you but does not let you settle either. You feel it when you consider your future, when you imagine what is possible. There is excitement there, but also reverence. You sense that what lies ahead deserves your full presence, not just your ambition. You are learning that vision does not have to be loud to be powerful. It can be held gently, nurtured privately, protected until it is ready to be shared. You do not feel the need to announce every dream anymore. Some things grow best in silence, just like you did. There is also a growing trust in your ability to adapt. You know now that even if plans change, you will not be lost. Even if doors close, you will not be stranded. You have navigated uncertainty before and emerged stronger. That memory alone gives you confidence that no single outcome defines you. You are also becoming more aware of how your presence affects others. Not in a self-conscious way, but in a responsible one. You recognize that your words carry weight, that your energy influences rooms, that your reactions set tone. This awareness does not burden you. It grounds you. It reminds you to move with intention. There will be moments ahead when things accelerate unexpectedly, when clarity comes suddenly, when opportunities converge. In those moments, return to what steadied you in slower seasons. Breathe, listen, stay anchored. You do not need to rush just because momentum increases. You are allowed to move with purpose even when things speed up and when challenges arise again, because they will in some form. You will meet them differently. Not with panic, but with perspective. Not with avoidance, but with strategy. You have learned that challenges are not signs that you are off track. Often they are confirmation that you are moving forward. You are no longer defined by what you survive, but by how you integrate what you learned. Pain is no longer just something that happened to you. It is something that shaped you, informed you, strengthened you. And because you did the work internally, it does not harden you, it refines you. You are also learning how to celebrate progress without waiting for perfection, how to acknowledge small wins, how to appreciate growth that does not come with applause. This ability to honor incremental change keeps you grounded and motivated. As you continue walking, you will encounter moments of stillness again. Pauses that invite reflection. Do not fear them. They are not setbacks. They are checkpoints, opportunities to recalibrate, to realign, to listen more closely. You know now that movement does not always mean action. Sometimes it means awareness. You are not rushing toward an ending. You are living within a process that is shaping you continuously, refining your perspective, strengthening your character, expanding your capacity. And as long as you remain attentive, willing, and aligned, that process will continue to unfold naturally. So you keep moving, not with urgency, not with fear, but with trust. Trust in what you have learned. Trust in who you are becoming. Trust in the quiet guidance that has never left you, even when the path felt unclear. You move forward knowing that this journey does not need to conclude to be meaningful, that the story does not need to resolve to be purposeful, that what matters most is how you continue to show up in each unfolding moment as you walk onward, carrying awareness, humility, and strength into whatever comes next. Still in motion, still becoming, still listening, still choosing, still walking without needing the final chapter yet. And now, as this moment settles in your spirit, let it be clear what all of this has been leading toward. Not applause, not validation, not a dramatic finish that proves anything to anyone. It has been leading you toward alignment, toward becoming someone who can be trusted with what is next because you were faithful with what was hidden, toward a life where your strength is quiet, your confidence is rooted, and your obedience is not dependent on who is watching. You did not endure all of this just to survive. You endured so you could stand whole, clear, and ready, carrying wisdom that cannot be taught any other way. So when you step forward from here, do it without fear and without hesitation. You are not guessing your way into the future. You are walking into it with evidence, with history, with proof of what you can handle and who you are when no one is looking. What awaits you does not require a different version of you, only a continued commitment to the one you became in the unseen. And as you move, remember this truth above all others. Heaven never forgot what you did in secret. And what was witnessed there is now positioned to speak through your life in ways that will outlast this moment, this season, and even your own understanding of how powerful, quiet faith can truly be.